Hello, ladies and gentlemen. If you don't know who I am, my name is Shook. I make videos for NBA, I make videos for NFL. All these videos they get posted on this subreddit right here. It's called DF Sports with one S. You could ask me questions about the slate leading up to lock. I'll be here after lock sometimes as well. And yeah, I'll have a link to this down below. And if you ever need to get a hold of me privately, you can get a hold of me on Twitter right here are my ats. So let's take a look at my lineup from tonight. I don't know if I'll cash. It's going to be pretty close. I'm like 35 to 40 spots above the cash line, but people obviously have like AD and Torian Prince behind me, so it's gonna cut close. Really mad because I had zero Portland before the Brogdon news happened. Just really mad about that. So the lineup I had before the Portland news was I had these five, but I also had LeBron James, Derek Jones Jr., and Dwight Powell over Sharp, Simons, and Scoot. That was my lineup. And it would be absolutely smashing right now. So a little bit unfortunate there, but once Brogdon got ruled out, like Portland's gonna run a really tight rotation in competitive games, so I decided to risk it. I thought Scoot was way too low owned. Yeah, so we'll see how it ends up. My core today was Jaden Hardy. He smashed. Tim Hardaway Jr. was a core play. He smashed. Kyrie Irving was a core play. He smashed. Josh Green was a core play. Well, I told everyone to get to one of Josh Green or Derek Jones Jr. Josh Green fifth for me. He smashed, and then Simons core play. So core did great today outside of Simons, and hope you guys had a great night as well. And if you are interested in more in-depth content, I'll have my Discord link down below. All right, so let's start with Memphis here. So I'm not sure if Gilliard's with the team or not, but there's no Smart, there's no Derrick Rose, there's no John Morant. They literally don't have any point guards. I guess they could start Desmond Bain at the point, but they would have like nobody behind him. So I don't know if Gilliard's with the team or not. So keep an eye on that. Like if they start like a Gilliard at the flat min price, obviously like Gilliard a ton. They just have no point guards on this team. So keep an eye on that. But other guys that are going to get run with all these guys out, I would assume Tillman starts at the 5. If that's the case, I do like Tillman a ton. They waived Bismack Biyombo, so they don't have Bismack Biyombo anymore. So I would assume backup 5 would probably, like, they have no other options. Backup 5 run is they're either going to start Jaren at the 5 or they're going to play Jaren at the backup 5, so that's going to boost Jaren as well. It's like Bane, Jaren, they both look good. They just have no bodies here with the main guys. They're going to have insane usage between those two. So those two guys look good. Vince Williams at 5.3K is very solid. Like I said, assuming Tillman starts at the 5, I really like him at 5.2K. Luke Kennard's been starting. He's solid. Zaire's going to get a decent amount of minutes. He's playable. What else? We also have Jaren back. He was out last game, but you'll probably see some Roddy into the rotation. And then, like I said, keep an eye on Gilliard. I haven't found anything, but if he's not with the team, they just have no other bodies. They'll probably call him up. But he's been DMPing or he's just not with the team. I haven't found anything. Keep an eye on that. If they start like a Gilliard at the flatman, I do like him. So keep an eye on that. And just monitor the starting lineup. They could do a number of things, but like I said, you're probably going to see some Conchar as well. So there's like a good amount of value here to like, and a good amount to like on Memphis in general. So I just thought I'd start with that because I couldn't find anything on Gilliard. If any of you guys know in the comments, definitely let me know as well. Moving on to Indiana Atlanta. This game just looks really fast paced. Good spot for both teams as well. So Miles Turner at the top, I like quite a bit. I think he looks like one of the better center options on the slate. Looking at price points, like I really like Sengun, but potentially I really like Towns. I think Towns is solid either way. Duran solid, Vooch is solid. There's a ton of good center options on this slate, but Miles Turner going up against Atlanta, I think is very solid. So many good center options today. T.D. McConnell coming off the bench at 7K, I think is a bit pricey for my liking. And with the wings, so if Jalen Smith is out, Obi Toppin started last game. If he starts, I like him for value. He'd be a solid value. Good point per minute guy. Solid rebounder. Should play mid-20s minutes. He would look solid. This grouping of wings, they're going to go with the hot hand between them. I will say Benedict Mathurin probably has the highest ceiling of the wings, but he's the most pricey. The guy that I feel the most comfortable with is probably Bruce Brown of the Wings. He would probably be my favorite, but still, it's tough. They're always going to go with the hot hand between these guys. Nemhard, TJ, they're going to split the point guard duties. You give him mid-20s minutes at 5.6K. If he could just hit a shot, he could pay off. He's going to stuff the stat sheet. You just can't hit the broadside of a barn right now. It'll keep the ownership down, and Jackson will get the backup 5 if Jalen Smith's out. He would be an intriguing value of 4.1K. All right, let's move on to Atlanta. Good spot here. I mean, Trey, I really like at 9.9K. Playing huge minutes. They're running a really tight rotation with the main guys. Pace up spot against the Pacers. I like Trey a ton. DeJounte Murray, I think, is very, very solid at 7.2K as well. He seems too cheap. Jalen Johnson, I still like at 7.2K. Like I said, they're just running such a tight rotation. Good rebounder, can stuff the stat sheet. I think is solid. I think I prefer DeJounte Murray to Jalen Johnson, but still solid. Bog is playable even at 6.2K. We do have Capella back, so that's going to hurt the bigs here. Sadiq Bey is going to play huge minutes. He's just reasonable. And then I don't think I get to much else. Moving on to Sacramento. Not a good spot here. So like Sabonis, Fox, the more contrarian plays for me. Sabonis has been on another level of late. No Joel Embiid on the other side. He should be able to feast. So I have no issue if you want to play Sabonis on the slate. Fox is fine, but I prefer Sabonis. Keegan Murray, I think, is priced right. Keep an eye on Kevin Huerter. If he's out, I would assume Chris Duarte moves into the starting lineup. If he starts, you can go there, but they can always just bench him and play more Malik Monk. Harrison Barnes, he's fine. Should play around 30 minutes. And then if Kevin Huerter's in, I don't think I'm going to mess with any of the guards or wings here for Sacramento. Moving on to Philly. So every time Joel Embiid's out, no matter the matchup, I'm going to say I absolutely love Tyrese Maxey until he's above 10K. Even at 10K, I still think he's a bit too cheap. His usage is just absurd. He's playing over 40 minutes a game right now. This game did go into overtime, but stuff in the stat sheet, his potentials are way up. Good pace up spot as well. So Tyrese Maxey, let me actually see how fast the Kings are playing this season, because my memory is always, oh, that's not it. Pace rankings. Let's take a look at the Kings. Are they up there this year? They are. So it's pace up spot. Sixers, they moved up in pace a lot this year as well. So really like Maxey there. I think Tobias is very, very safe. He's going to be the number 2 on offense. Good rebounder. Also going to play around 40 minutes. So very, very safe play there. Probably going to be popular. DeAnthony Melton, Kelly Oubre. Melton started last game. I think they're just going to go with the hot hand between these two. Some more tournament plays for me. Paul Reed, I mean, his minutes have not been great, but I like his ceiling for tournaments as long as he can stay out of foul trouble going up against Sabonis. And then Batum, he played big minutes. I think he's solid for value. Pat Bev, not going to get to with Melton back. All right, moving on to Houston. So this is a team I like for tournaments a ton. So like a really good spot is just, can Detroit keep this game competitive? So Alfred Sengun, Fred VanVleet, I really like both in the mid-range on this slate. I think Sengun's just too cheap. I think Fred's too cheap. Another team that's running really tight rotations. Sengun, Fred, Wombo combo, 2 highest usage players on this team. You get them at a discount compared to other teams. So I really like Sengun. I really like Fred. No Tari Eason, so Jabari Smith's going to play all the minutes he can handle. This game went into double overtime, but I'm expecting mid-30s minutes from him. They don't like to play Tari Eason and Jabari Smith together, so that's why he gets a minutes bump. I think he's a good tournament play. Jalen Green at 6K, fine, playable, does have a ceiling. I think I prefer Jabari Smith. And then keep it on the starting lineup. They benched Jayshawn Tate last game. They started Jeff Green in the second half. Just keep an eye on that. If they start Jayshawn Tate, he's fine for value now that the prices come down. He's been so bad. I don't think I get to much else here though. Moving on to Detroit. So not the best spot here, but I like Duran's ceiling for tournaments. I give the slight edge to Miles Turner at a similar price point though, but Duran's fine. Jaden Ivey at 6.9K. She'll play low 30s minutes. Good point per minute guy with no Cade. He gets a big bump. I like his ceiling. Bojan, same thing, like his ceiling. These guys aren't as good of plays as they have been in the past in a tougher matchup going up against Houston. Killian Hayes is very, very safe at 5.5K. He's just been so bad, but he's going to stuff the stat sheet. I have no issue with him. Alec Burks, not going to play a ton of minutes, but he'll be productive when he's on the court, unlike Killian Hayes will be. I think I prefer Hayes, but Burks fine. Keep an eye on Stewart. If he's probable, I guess keep an eye on the starting lineup. I would assume Stewart moves back in the starting lineup, but if they don't, I'm not going to get to guys like Livers, Knox, those type guys. All right, moving on to the Clips. Not a good spot here. It's just, can Memphis keep this game competitive? I really don't know. But Kawhi, Harden, Paul George at their prices, I think they're all fine plays. I think they're all priced right. They all just eat into each other's usage. I mean, Paul George had a big game last game, but he's busted other games. Some games you'll see Kawhi with the big games. It's tough. So they're all playable. They're all fine. I will say Zubac's minutes have been pretty secure of late. Like, you give him 30 minutes, I wouldn't be surprised if he has a good game going up against Xavier Tillman. Intrigued by tournaments. I'm not going to get to the value here, though. Kind of already went over Memphis. Like I said, keep an eye on if Gilliard's with the team or not. And Biyombo's waived. Don't play Biyombo. Good spot here for Charlotte. LaMelo Ball, I would assume, isn't going to play. So with that being said, Terry Rozier, Miles Bridges in a really, really good spot going up against the Spurs, running a really tight rotation, kind of like the Houston guys. They're playing their main guys 40 minutes a game. It's just they cannot stay in competitive games. I think this game will be competitive. Two really bad teams, two fast-paced teams. So Rozier stands out to me a ton at 8.8K. Miles Bridges, I think, is fine. Brandon Miller has been god-awful, but he's playable. P.J. Washington and Cody Martin, I don't expect to play here. I think P.J. Washington's doubtful, so you're going to get around 30 minutes for Nick Richards. Interesting for tournaments. I did like him this late. He played huge minutes. This game went into overtime, though. I'd expect around 30, 35 minutes or so from Nick, so I like him as a contrarian center option. And then with all these guys out, you're going to see some like Bryce McGowans. They did start Nick Smith in the second half last game. I think he's viable regardless, but keep an eye on the starting lineup. I think they benched McGowans for Nick Smith in the second half, so keep an eye on that. Moving on to the Spurs, it's a good spot here. Like I said, two horrible teams going up against each other. It's like Wemby on a limit had a triple-double in 21 minutes. I believe it was the second fastest triple-double in NBA history behind Russell Westbrook, I think. But with him only playing 20 minutes a game right now, it's just hard to go to him. But obviously still does have a ceiling for tournaments. Vassell, Keldon, they're just there for me. The guy, like, once again, I was shocked he had a really bad game last game, but he's been playing big minutes in competitive games. True point guard. He's stuffing the stat sheet. If people are going to get off him because of his bad game last game, I still think Trey Jones is a solid play. I'm not going to mess with the value. I'm not going to play Branham. Not going to play all these other guys. So, yeah, I think Trey Jones is fine. Interest in Vassell for tournaments, but I think the Charlotte side looks a little bit better there for this team. Moving on to the Warriors, not much here. I mean, they changed their starting lineups at half every single game. I think they did it twice in a row now. I don't know what to do with this team. Tough spot going up against Chicago, so tough to gauge here. Steph, don't like for tournaments. Clay, 6'1" is fine. Everyone else is just getting benched. Wiggins got benched. Trace got benched. They started Looney last game. If he starts again, he's fine for value. Trace, like I said, got benched. Kuminga, only guy that hasn't gotten benched. I mean, he has a ceiling, but this team it's just hard to gauge right now. We also have Moody out. I believe this is new. Yeah, I don't know. Really, really tough to gauge right now. Like Pods, I think I'll play around 30 minutes anyway, which makes him in play, but yeah, he always has risk of just someone getting benched. Just absolutely wild. All right, moving on to Chicago. So let's take a look at the Chicago rotation last game because their game went into double overtime, but they played their main guys are off restrictions and they're all cheap. So let's take a look at the Chicago rotation. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. I want to see how much they played in regulation. So, no, it didn't go into double overtime. Sorry, single overtime. So they all played big minutes in regulation. Obviously, you got the regular starters. You got Kobe White, Vooch, Levine, DeMar, and Alex Caruso. And they barely played anyone off the bench. They played Patrick Williams. They played Iosum. They played Andre Drummond backup 5. And Dalen Terry barely got a shift. So if they're going to play their main guys this big of minutes at these price points, I think we have to have some interest here. So, like, Levine, Vooch, DeRozan, even Kobe White has been phenomenal, even with everyone healthy. I have an interest in all the main guys at these price points. I do think they are a bit too cheap. It's just trying to figure out which one's going to have the big game is the tough part. But, yeah, I have interest in all these main guys. I think they all look solid at their price points. Picking which one it's going to be a nightmare. Caruso should play around 30 minutes, reasonable value, and I think that's it. All right, last set of games here, guys. Let's go on to Orlando. So, not a good spot going up against Miami. We'll also keep an eye on Wendell Jr. If he's in, that basically kills both the bigs. If he is out, you can consider guys like Goga and Mo, but wouldn't stand out to me. The guards, Marco Fultz is back, so that's hurting them. He's been on a limit as well. They've been starting Okiki. If he continues to start, I actually think he's solid value. Just would be low usage when he's out there. Paolo's been absolutely insane. Tough spot going up against Miami, though. More of a contrarian play for me. And then the guards' price points, I think, are priced right. Not too much there. All right, hard to say right now with Miami. We have Tyler Herro questionable. We have Jimmy Butler doubtful. We have Caleb Martin questionable. We have Kyle Lowry doubtful. So let's say it's a situation where same guys were out that are out last game. Then Tyler Herro started at the point. They started, Tyler Herro, Bam Adebayo, Jamie Jaquez, Nikola Jovic, and Haywood Highsmith. So if they go with that same starting lineup and they run a similar rotation, Highsmith played huge minutes. I would have no issue going to him. What else? Josh Richardson came off the bench, still playable. Jovic, I would say, is priced right, but did play big minutes. What else? Kevin Love's been playing alongside Bam some. Does have a ceiling. And then Jamie's playing huge minutes. Not a good spot going up against Orlando, but he's fine. And then Tyler Herro, Bam Adebayo, I think would be solid, especially if Tyler Herro starts at the point again. And then if we get a situation where all these guys are out, I mean, it's just going to be a wait and see approach, waiting on the lineup as well. They could do a number of things. So I would think Josh Richardson would start at the point. If that's the case, I obviously really like Josh Richardson. Main guys are going to get a bump. Like Jamie would get a bump. Like him, Bam would basically have to do everything for this team. I would like him. Haywood Highsmith will have to play big minutes. Keep an eye on that. Could be a lot to like there. This game, I'm so done with Portland. I don't know if we have gotten anything for tomorrow yet. I believe Brogdon was just rest, so I think he'll be back, and I also think Jabari Walker could be back, so keep an eye on that. Keep an eye on Aiden, too. He was questionable coming into today. So if everyone that was out is out, also Sharp, I don't know what happened to him, but if everyone's in, don't love much going up against Minnesota. This team would basically be a cross-off for me, but if we get a situation where everyone's out again, that was out today, then we can start considering, guys like Kamara for value. Simons would have to do everything for this team. If you're playing for a competitive game, like he would have to have a big game. Jeremy Grant would have to play huge minutes. Scoot at 6'3", they would have no other guards. He would have to play a ton. Shaden Sharp at 5.9K would be in play. Like I said, the bigs. Kind of tough to say right now. Not a good spot going up against Minnesota at all either. So kind of just a wait and see approach. It is the last game of the night, but I'm sure we'll get this news a bit early. Tough to say right now. Also not a good spot going up against Minnesota at all. All right, Rudy Gobert is questionable. I believe last game it was Mike Conley who was out, right? Yeah, it was Mike Conley and Rudy Gobert that were out last game. So I would assume if Rudy Gobert is out, they go with the starting lineup of Mike Conley, Anthony Edwards, Kyle Anderson, Karl Anthony Towns, and McDaniels. Why do I feel like he came off the bench, which just never happens, but okay, it didn't. I don't know why I thought that. Yeah, so I'd assume the starting lineup would be McDaniels, Kyle Anderson, Mike Conley, Karl Anthony Towns, Anthony Edwards. So if that's the case, once again, I like Kyle Anderson quite a bit for value. Statute stuffer. McDaniels would be reasonable. Guy I really like here is Karl Anthony Towns at the 5 in a smash spot going up against Portland. So I would absolutely love Towns if Gobert's out. I think he's a good play either way. smash spot is just, can Portland keep this game competitive? If Rudy Gobert plays, I like his spot. And then Anthony Edwards, if Portland can keep this close, I think he's going to absolutely smash here. So Minnesota looks very, very good tomorrow, and I'm absolutely scared. And then if Rudy Gobert's in, probably not going to get to Kyle Anderson. McDaniel will still be fine. And I think that's it. I think that's going to wrap it up for the video. Sorry for the confusion there. I was confused on minutes there for a second. What if they did some fuck shit? Because I know NAW started as well. He played 40 minutes. And then if Rudy Gobert is out, you'll get a bit more Naz Reid as well. I would like Naz Reid too. So I think that's going to wrap it up. Hope you guys had a good night tonight, and I will see y'all in the next one.